Censored Search. Censored Search is a website that searches websites and other online sources that have been banned or shadow banned by major advertising funded search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing, and social media services like YouTube, which is part of Google, Twitter, Facebook, etc. This has been growing for many years and has really accelerated with the coronavirus pandemic. There are many cases of qualified medical doctors and scientists who have non-mainstream views being blocked and banned by these websites. They are in fact shadow banning or derating damaging information about their advertisers. No great surprise. Advertisers who sell you drugs, vaccines, politicians, and many other products and services of uncertain value. The purpose of the website is to allow you to look for contrary information. I'll talk a little bit more about the philosophy of our website. Let me give a simple example of the problem. This is DuckDuckGo, which is not Google. It's actually an independent search engine that claims not to track you, to give you more privacy than Google does by a wide margin, and that seems to be true in my experience. It is also funded by advertising, and although it's not as heavily censored as Google search results, it is also influenced by powerful advertisers. This is the results of searching for Bill Gates. And this is the first page that comes up, at least for me. And it is virtually all positive. The Wikipedia article is pretty positive. Bill Gates' homepage. That's reasonable that that shows up, of course, but you won't see hardly anything highly critical of Bill Gates here. For example, his curious relationship with disgraced and now suicided financier Jeffrey Epstein. What you do get is the bizarre conspiracy theory that Bill Gates caused COVID, but this won't tell you very much about the various criticisms of Bill Gates and his activities in health and medicine, which long predate the COVID crisis. For example, he's been involved in vaccines, and there have been questions about his activities for many, many years. But you're not going to find those on the front page of the results of most search engines, including more independent ones like DuckDuckGo. You don't have to postulate a conspiracy. Bill Gates is one of the wealthiest and most powerful men in the world, and he's a major advertiser, both personally through his foundations and through Microsoft, which he still seems to have great control over. Our website can bring up all kinds of dissident points of view that are being banned and shadow banned about Bill Gates and many other subjects. Takes a couple seconds to search the index, and here we have various exposés, some of which have very interesting facts in them, and some of which you can probably disregard. It's up to you to make the decisions. But you're getting these alternate points of views that are being systematically weeded out more and more in the last few months, particularly on medical and pharmaceutical issues, which directly affect your health and that of your children and family and people you care about. Okay. Now, I'm actually logged in as a fake customer called Marcus@meditations.org, and so I'm using a search algorithm that I have called MoneyRank, which tries to look for web pages that have a lot of financial information, conflicts of interest, dollar figures, concrete facts to back up what's in the website. And it shows here I also have the customer of the website, Marcus, can actually rate the website, make their own personal judgment about how credible or useful they find it to be. I can actually show you that feature. I'll show that very briefly, and I'll come back to it later. So we can select the algorithms. PageRank is a popularity contest. It's similar to what Google used to do 20, 30 years ago. Their original algorithm where you look at who is linking to the page. That's the default that you get for free. You can come to our website and use the search engine as much as you like, but you're limited to the PageRank. Then we have this follow the money ranking, which tries to identify web pages that have factual information about financial matters, conflicts of interest, the old canard of follow the money. And you can rate the different websites as you like. So you're in the driver's seat, you're in charge, the customer decides and understands, has full transparency into what these algorithms are doing, unlike Google, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, essentially all of the dominant search engines, even those minor independent ones. And let me return to the website. You can also get to the website, just a brief thing, through censoredsearch.com. And censoredsearch.org also works. So we have several domains. And there you go. And so again, the problem is that social media and search engines are funded by advertisers, powerful advertisers. They're also subject to pressure, particularly because Google is essentially a monopoly in the United States. They're subject to very strong political pressure through antitrust regulations and other methods. And we've seen this. We've seen the heads of these companies dragged in front of congressional committees and browbeaten over the content on their website. So they do respond to that pressure, being big operations. So what you're seeing when you do a Google search on Bill Gates, for example, is generally what's in the interests of these powerful advertisers and people like Bill Gates, not in you, the customer's interest. If they're trying to sell you something that isn't good for you, or is very overpriced, or has other drawbacks, you're not necessarily going to get it with these mainstream search engines. You're going to get something the advertisers want you to see. In contrast, we are funded by subscribers, not by advertisers. And you, as a customer, are in the driver's seat. We provide transparency into what the algorithms are actually doing, in other words. So you can look here. These are different options for a customer. And you can, again, configure the search as you like by rating different websites. You can block them by rating them at 0, or if you are particularly impressed with a particular website, then you can rank it. And you have, right now, we have 2 algorithms. Again, PageRank is just a popularity contest. Who is linking to how many people are linking to that web page. It's very similar to what used to be done 20 years ago. And Follow the Money, which actually goes through and uses artificial intelligence technologies to look at what's being talked about in the web pages and try to identify, it's not perfect, but try to identify those pages which have real content, financial information that you often don't see in the mainstream web results that might indicate that you shouldn't trust this product or service, quantitative information. And we're working on improving this algorithm as well as adding additional algorithms. We also are adding the capability we'll add the capability for customers to program their own algorithms. So you can go in and create your own criteria. Well, the notion here is instead of having this black box that's controlled by advertisers, you are in the driver's seat. Now, you're making all kinds of important life decisions based on the search engine results. Particularly, we see this with medical matters, pharmaceuticals, vaccines, decisions that can be life and death decisions involve your life savings, all these kind of decisions. Many people are relying on these advertising funded. They're solely funded by advertising search engines like Google and like DuckDuckGo. And even DuckDuckGo is showing increasing signs of advertising-driven censorship, where you get very positive information about people with a lot of money who are trying to sell you something, or giant companies, and not the damaging or counterpoint information that might say, wait a minute, yeah, Bill Gates may be rich, but maybe he doesn't know that much about medicine, for example. He doesn't have a medical degree. He's a college dropout. He's a businessman, not a major inventor of software algorithms, things like that. I could go on in some detail, but the point is that the search engines you're using to make these critical life decisions are really heavily influenced by their advertisers. And that's actually pretty obvious at this point. And to the point that they're actually either flat out banning or shadow banning, making it very hard to find information that is contrary to what their advertisers want you to see and hear. In contrast, our website gives you a way to see the information. So we specifically target the information that's being suppressed so that you can see that alternate point of view, or points of view, and it's really points of view, and make up your own mind. Now, the inclusion of websites in our search engine doesn't mean we endorse them in any way. There are some websites that are included here that I personally am not that fond of. I'm not going to go into names, but some of them, of course, I found often have useful factual information. You need to verify the information that those websites are providing to you. Again, we have these more advanced algorithms that try to identify the web pages that have substantive factual claims that you can verify. Information on financial matters, conflicts of interest, campaign contributions, the actual quantitative results of tests of drugs and vaccines. What does the data actually show? All that kind of information, we're trying to prioritize that at your choice. You don't have to. You can use the popularity contest or whatever you want to do. You can rate the websites as you like. We do recommend that you try to see a range of points of view. If you use a lot of these search engines, you're going to get increasingly one point of view, which reflects the advertisers and not your interests. And you don't always know what your interests really are without seeing different points of view. Does that vaccine really work? Does it really have negligible side effects? Do these drugs actually work? What are the risks that you're taking? Many drugs, for example, have been withdrawn from the market despite FDA approval, at least 35 that we know of, some of which probably killed tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people. A lot of that information tends to get suppressed because of the enormous influence of the money that the major pharmaceutical companies and players like Bill Gates have. So let me return to the main page. You can subscribe using PayPal or Subscribestar. You need to provide us with an email address so we can set up an account for you. We try to have the accounts operational as quickly as possible, usually within 48 hours, and we'll send you an email. If you want to use our service, do keep in mind our legal disclaimer. We are a company that is developing software to automate data analysis, and we're trying to apply that software to these smarter algorithms for prioritizing the search results under your control, and we're going to be transparent about what we are doing so you understand why, if you choose one of our algorithms, it's actually prioritizing something. So our technology is understandable. It's not opaque black boxes like deep learning and other technologies where you have no idea why the algorithm decided to push something at you. Our algorithms are understandable, and they will tell you why, and we provide information showing you what the ratings of the let me just do this again just to recap. So let's do Bill Gates again and search Bill Gates, and we have to wait a few seconds while it searches the index. And okay, so it is showing you what the search method is. It's showing your customer rating of that site. They all default to 1. We don't prioritize any website. And it's showing the rating from the money rank. Now, right now, we don't show the details of what the money rank does, but in the future, we'll show exactly what it's doing. You just click on this here, and it will tell you, okay, this is how I decided that this particular web page is the one you should see. That way, you can decide if that works for you, and you understand why it's doing it. In contrast, when Google pushes something at you, you have no idea. That might be because an advertiser paid a lot of money to have it pushed at you. It might be all sorts of things, some quirk of the Google engineers that decided that this is what you should see. In contrast, we are offering something where you have transparency. You can tell what the algorithm is, what it does. You can make your own algorithm. You can rate the websites as you like and say, nah, I don't really like this website, or I think this website is really reliable. Again, you have to be careful you don't create a sort of echo bubble for yourself that confirms your own biases. The whole point here is to get outside of the biases, your biases, which are often created by advertisers. They're shaping how you're thinking to get you to buy their products, their services. And the goal of the censored search is to allow you to get alternative factual information that isn't what the advertisers, the things the advertisers are consciously or unconsciously suppressing, and which is, shows that their products maybe don't work or have serious risks or other concerns. This concludes this video presentation. If you like this video, please click like. Please click subscribe and the notification bell if you would like to receive more content from us. You can avoid internet censorship by subscribing directly to our RSS news feed. Please consider sharing the link by email and on your website or blog, in addition to liking, upvoting, or sharing on increasingly censored, advertising beholden, big company social media. We have encountered such censorship. Mathematical software is developing algorithms and software to automate data analysis, reducing the risks of costly errors and increasing the predictive power of the results. You can support our work financially by subscribing on our Patreon page, https://www.patreon.com/mathsoft, or scanning the QR code in the lower right corner.